Plus 49.
Welcome to another episode of Plus 49. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Siri Arteaga. I'm currently in Mexico, but I am still very thrilled to have you with us for another episode. And I'm sending you all the heat and the warmth of Mexico City. Tonight, we have an insightful show lined up for you. Coalition talks in Germany are moving at record speed, with CDU leader Friedrich Merz aiming to form a government by Easter. Maybe the Easter Bunny will bring us a coalition. The newly outlined 11-page explanatory paper highlights key policy goals, with migration taking center stage. No wonder there. While recent dual citizenship and fast-track naturalization laws will remain in place, stricter border controls and deportations measures are also planned, and we'll break down what this means for expats and newcomers in Germany. Meanwhile, if you've been caught in the middle of strikes lately, you're not alone. Workers across Germany, from public transports to hospitals and even airports, are demanding better wages and conditions, causing disruptions in daily life. We'll also take a closer look at this protest and what might come next. And if you have ever wondered about German driving habits, we have a fun segment coming up. Plus, today we will be joined by DJ Tofee and his German friend Oliver to talk about refugees and the friendship they built in their new communities. It's a conversation you don't want to miss. Let's start. Coalition talks in Germany are progressing at record speed, with CDU leader Friedrich Merz aiming to form a government by Easter. The parties have now outlined their key policy goals in an 11-page explanatory paper. A major focus is migration, with both parties pledging to uphold the recent dual citizenship and fast-track naturalization laws. This means that shortened residency requirements for citizenship and the right to hold multiple nationalities for non-EU citizens will remain in place. However, stricter border controls and deportation measures are planned, including pushbacks at land borders, a temporary suspension of family reunification for certain refugees, and fewer legal protections for those facing deportation. The list of safe countries of origin may also be expanded, further restricting asylum eligibility. Other key topics include extending rent control measures, reviewing the future of the Deutschland ticket, and ensuring Germany meets its climate targets through market-driven policies. Meanwhile, I'm sure you've noticed or even been affected by it, the many strikes currently happening across Germany. Since January, workers in kitas, hospitals, waste collections, public transports, and other essential services have staged warning strikes in all 16 federal states. Even airports were affected, with Berlin Brandenburg Airport brought to a still stand by a 24-hour strike, leaving 67,000 travelers stranded. Nationwide, over 3,400 flights were cancelled. Led by the trade union Verdi, they are demanding an 8% wage increase, better working conditions, and additional paid leave. With 500,000 vacancies in the public sector, unions arguing that improved wages are crucial to attracting new employees. If no agreement is reached in the coming negotiations, more strikes could follow. So don't be surprised if disruptions continue in the weeks ahead. If you spent any time on German roads, you will know that driving here is as much about precision and order as it is about getting from A to B. Just like in many aspects of life, Germans take their road rules very seriously. The strict rule following can sometimes feel overly cautious or even frustrating, but in certain situations, it works impressively well. Take, for example, the Rettungsgasse. The Rettungsgasse, or emergency corridor, is a system designed to clear a path for ambulances and emergency vehicles in traffic jams. While many countries have laws about letting emergency services pass, such as in Mexico, but it never happens, Germany's approach is particularly effective. The rule is simple. On highways or roads with two or more lanes, drivers must always create a gap between the leftmost lane and the lane next to it, regardless of how many lanes there are. And because Germans take rules to heart, we know that, this system usually works without chaos. But what about everyday driving? Well, Germany is famous for its Autobahn, where certain stretches have no official speed limit. Everybody loves this. This might sound like a dream for speed lovers, but it comes with strict expectations. Of course it does. The left lane is strictly for overtaking. And if you're too slow, you will get a very aggressive flash of headlights from the car behind you. Tailgating is common, and while Germans aren't necessarily rude drivers, they do have a low tolerance for rule breakers. This brings us to a recent ranking of the world's friendliest drivers. A study by Autotrader UK asked drivers from 16 countries to rate their own road behavior, scoring themselves on kindness, patience, and general friendliness. The UK topped the list, followed by Australia and New Zealand. And of course, Germany ranked 13 out of 15. Not exactly the warmest rating. But to be honest, in Germany, driving etiquette follows a clear pattern. You have to follow the rules, and then everything will run smoothly. If you don't, well, expect honking, flashing lights, and even maybe this beautiful hand gesture or two. So, while German drivers might not smile and wave at every interaction, they do stick to the rules. And in a country where efficiency is a key, that might just be their version of friendliness. You have to picture this. We are in a kitchen, a room, and a closet. And we are three different nationalities. And we're going to talk about what it's like to get out of your country, move to Germany, and what it feels like to start from zero until the point that you are not only a fully well integrated, but actually you just speak German, you have German friends. And this is something that we have had a lot in this podcast and this radio station, where people say, like, it's so complicated to have German friends. So today we're going to prove that wrong, because we have DJ Tofee. He comes from, I'm going to leave that blank because the story is great. And Ollie, he's German, and they're friends. And we're going to do this English-German. You're only going to hear the English part. But the thing is, Tofee, even though he arrived in Germany not that long ago, he just speaks German. And I think that is great. So thank you first, Tofee and Ollie, for being here today. And thank you, Ollie, for being our translator, and also to share your story about what it's like to be friends with internationals. So let's start with the first question to Tofee, and it's quite simple. How did you arrive in Germany?
Hi, Sigrid. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having us on your podcast. And Tofee told you a bit of his story and the backstory. I've heard it a couple of times. And what he was talking about right now, he said like he'd take like the refugee route, or that is well known in the European area, from Turkey to the island of Kos, or in Greece. And he had to try it like 2 times, because the first time he was on a rubber boat, on those inflatable boats with a lot of people together with him, and they were not that far away from the coast of Turkey when I think the Turkish Coast Guard came and slid their boat. So they cut the boat, so it sank, and everybody was in the water for a couple of hours and waiting for something to happen, for someone to help them. And after 6 hours, there was a Norwegian rescue ship, like a humanitarian rescue ship, that collected them, but had to bring them back to Turkey because they were still in Turkish waters. So that was the first try. And then a couple of days later, he tried a second time with like one of those migrant smugglers and came by jet ski. He made it to Greece, to the island of Kos. Yeah, so this was his first step. And I think just in short, what he has to endure, it was in a period of months and years that he made his way from Iraq to Europe and then finally to Germany. So ISIS, I think in 2013, 14, like ISIS came from Syria to Iraq. And Tofee comes from a wealthy company. He was a business owner himself and his family. And then there was like a militia that forced him or threatened him to fight against ISIS. So that was like the point, but he didn't want to bear arms and fight against those ISIS fighters because he knew, as many of his friends and acquaintances, he could die actually in this fight, and he didn't want to stay there. That was one of the reasons, and he threatened him, and he got beaten up by people forcing him to join the militia, actually. But he had a good neighbor who helped him to get out of his place into another safe city or safe harbor, and then from this point on, he could flee to Turkey. And so that was, I think, that started his flight to Europe.
I think it's fair to say that we're all holding our breath hearing this story. We're going to take a short music break to change up gears and to see how actually coming to Germany and this culture or this country has actually brought him, I would say, back to another life. So let's go for a short music break. We're back with our interview with Tofee. He comes from Iraq. He has made a short resume of what happened to him and what brought him to Germany. And first of all, I would say, welcome to Germany, Tofee. This is now your home and a safe space for you. And you arrived at some point in Berlin and you started having friends and speaking German. So tell us, how was it that you arrived in Berlin and how it has evolved during the past years that you're not only speaking the language, but also are like a superstar DJ?
So he came to Berlin actually in the end of 2016, beginning of 2017, and he found a person that kind of gave him a home. I would say it like a trusted person, like a key person until this day. He was a German man who gave him an apartment, who helped him with all the bureaucracy, who like gave him, just like a connection to the city, like somebody, like a German home you could talk to. If he needed any help, he can ask him and anything. I think that's one of the key points of his development. And then at some point, he also decided that he wanted to integrate himself, get German friends, get to know German people, talk to them, and just learn the language. And just like be a good integrated person here in Berlin, in the city that he really liked. And in 2018, he got to know a common friend, Gideon. Through him, we got to know each other then later on. And he introduced him to his alcohol-free parties. I think that's one of the. He just gave me a note. It was on Valentine's Day.
Exactly.
In 2018. And first on this like alcohol-free parties, and I think that's where the journey started of Tofee getting into the music. So Gideon, the friend he got to know, he was actually DJ already, and he not only organized those parties, but he was actually the DJ on this party. And there was also, he mentioned, there was also a speed dating event on this Valentine's Day party. And this evening, he also got to know a girl. But Gideon was such a cool guy. He just, at another party, he invited him and showed him how to be a DJ. Or I think he tried to explain some of the buttons and knobs you have on this big turntable you have there. And because Tofee was really just curious and interested, and Gideon just showed him how it works. And then a couple of weeks later, there was a beach party, he just told. And Gideon at some point couldn't make it or was not able to be the DJ at this night. And then he said, "Hey, Tofee, I showed you how it works. Why don't you do it?" So, and Tofee was like so nervous that he's going to break some of the buttons or the machine.
As you have heard, Tofee has done something that a lot of internationals think it's not possible. A, learn the language. B, have German friends. And 3, have a German girlfriend, which is actually something that a lot of people think that it's not possible in Germany, but it is. And talking about friendship, Ollie, you are in the art business, and suddenly you were at this party or at this gathering, and you met Tofee. How was it for you as a German to be confronted with another culture? How has it been for you to understand maybe that you are more German than you thought you would be? And also maybe tell us a little bit about that other girlfriend you had where you were also submerged in another different culture.
Yeah, okay. That's pretty interesting because it was around the same time that I got a Russian girlfriend. And then afterwards I met Tofee. It was about the same year, actually. And as you mentioned, of course, yes, then when I got in contact with those people, I really noticed what it means to be German. And to build up like my social wall and be distant at some point and like reserved, as everybody always says about the Germans. And I think that's also a big part of mine. I never thought it would be, because I'm really open-minded person. But when it comes to making friends and friendships, and I'm also more the introverted kind of guy, I really see what like this reserved thing, that I also do this as a German. I never noticed it really before. I thought it's just being introvert, but it gave me, I don't know. I was just open-minded and they were too. I think that's one of the most important things you have to be. Then you get in contact, have a good talks together, and you just feel the vibe. It clicks, you connect. And then I even had one time I had an Italian girlfriend that's not so far away culturally, but she didn't speak any English or German, and I didn't speak any Italian. So it worked out. It's somehow with some words. I teach her some words of German, and she teach me some words of Italian. And for at least a couple of months, it worked out. So you just have to be with hands and arms. You just try to communicate. I think that's for the first time. You just have to be and don't take it too seriously. Try to just to communicate with those people at some level that you can do. Yeah. And then just teach each other some words, some phrases, or you will develop, I would say, your own personal language to the other person. I think that's a really nice thing to do.
That is actually true. I keep saying for a while, umgearmt zu werden, which basically doesn't make any sense. But I kept saying that. And one dear friend of mine just kept laughing because she was like, no, you actually do not say umgearmt, but it's actually so cute that you say that it's all right.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody knows what you mean. And it's just like you then.
We'll still have a big journey from Tofee when he arrived to Germany, because of course you cannot just like write or say everything that he lived in the past 8 years in 20 minutes that we have been talking. Yet we're gonna try to go to the part where the music gets involved, where the art gets involved, and the way that we actually connect through art. And therefore, Tofee was still telling us a little bit about his story and how he became DJ. And actually, from putting techno music in Berlin to doing a little bit of Latin music in one Mexican party.
Ich bin dankbar, Olli, für unsere Freundschaft. Du gibst mir das Gefühl, dass ich einfach willkommen bin. Und das ist auch mir sehr wichtig. Und ich spüre das von dir so richtig echt und kein vorgespielt oder sowas. Und natürlich, solche Freundschaft bedeutet mir echt viel. Du bedeutest mir echt viel.
Wow. Thank you, Tofee, for those kind words. I can just give it back to you. our friendship is really something special. And you just mentioned that we got to know each other like over this common friend, and then hung out a couple of times on house parties and anything, just have seen each other. And at some point in our art gallery, or we met at the 20s party. So I've been into like all this 20 and style and wearing hats and cigars and whiskey at some kind. I've been into this style for a couple of years, and I think Tofee just noted this and was like, wow, that's interesting. I'd like to be part of this. I want to experience this as well. And then it was quite spontaneous that we met up at this very kitchen table we are sitting here with Gideon, our common friend. And I say, hey guys, let's have just the men's evening, have cigars. I have whiskey I have whiskey here. And then we were playing cards, and I was like, okay, I just have a small apartment, but everybody was smoking cigars in the kitchen. So the whole apartment was smelling for days or weeks for the cigar. But it was just a really cool night just between us three, and we really got along and got to know each other at a new level we have never had before. And I think that was the starting point where we noticed, wow, we are going to have like a longer friendship and more intense one. And I think that was one of the days we really knew that. And until now, we became really close friends. And I think that's one of the things also. I don't know if this is like a worldwide, I think this is still a worldwide thing, but Germans tend to need some just more time to, but if they are once like really close to you, it's a really, really intense and good friendship. Yeah, I think that's one of the things I could say as a German, and also Tofee noticed this one. You can get, especially in Berlin, you get to know a lot of people in Berlin, but those intense friendships are quite seldom.
We're going to be slowly wrapping this up. And with this, what my last question is, at least for the moment, it has to do a little bit about the situation that we are having in Germany. And I do believe that we need a little bit of hope about that this country is actually a place where we can say it's our home, where we can say we're welcome. And on the other side, also that we do have to do that part of the effort. But being able to feel safe, I say that also as a Mexican who was almost 3 times kidnapped in Mexico City, that I actually do feel safe in Mexico, in Germany, and it's my home and I love it. And we need hope. So I'm going to leave that question very open for Tofee and for Ollie to let us know, what do you say to the international community and what do you say to Germany?
Was ich zu Germany sage ich vom tiefen Herzen danke für die Sicherheit und die Möglichkeit und die Riesentour, die vor mein Leben verschönert hat. Ich fühle mich neugeboren in Deutschland, habe neues Leben, neues Alter, neues alles. Ich bin dankbar für Berlin, dass ich internationale Freunde habe. Das habe ich nie gedacht. Alle Religionen der Welt. Ich kann nur mal sagen, ey, mach den ersten Step, lerne mal die Sprache, geh auf die Leute zu, sei treu. Wie lange, dass du treu bist, da hast du Menge Freunde um dich herum und bist du sowieso willkommen.
Tofee just said like this Iraqi saying, if you respect each other, you're always welcome. I think that's really beautiful. And sometimes, I don't know if we Europeans or Germans, many times like afraid of things we don't know, we have no experience about. I think it's just human, but we can overcome this by just respecting or get to know people and just be open-minded. And I really hope that through all these things and fake news and people, strange people we have on the world, that most of the people really see that this is not the way we should be living as people, as humans on this planet, but just be open-minded. And even if it's like strange appearing or whatever, just get one step closer and have a look and maybe ask, okay, I didn't understand this. What are you doing? What did you do? What does that mean? And not just judging it and say, okay, I don't know this. I can't cope with this one. Or I don't like this one from the first time. I think that's a really important step, just to, take one step to another person if you don't know him. Just reach out your hand and say hi.
Before we leave, I want to ask Marlene. She's been our producer ever since we started. And of course, one of the reasons why this podcast and this series actually exists. And now that we're talking about what we need in Germany and this international community, I would love to hear also the input of you, Marlene, that you have been hearing us. And what is your message to Germany and the international community?
I think it's exactly like Tofee said before. And I think we need a lot of hope and build more on this community thing instead of fighting against each other, because we're all in this world and we all want to just live our best life here. So I think we still have to keep seeing the positive, even if the current situation in all of the world might seem a bit depressing. But I think we just have to keep going and keep working on being better. Yes.
Thank you also, Marlene, so much. And with this, we wrap it up. I also do believe in the power of community. And I also believe that in the moments of more darkness is when we have to be brighter. We have to shine brighter. So with this, we leave today. And thank you, the three of you. Of course, Tofee and Oli are our guest today. And Marlene, as always, as our producer. And thank you so much.
Thank you for having us, ladies.
Thank you so much.
Plus 49. Ask a German.
So, yeah, Tofee's question was, or we were discussing about why in Germany everything is so negative. Why people at first say no, and then maybe at some point say, okay, yeah, let's do it. And also like the news, a lot of the news he's hearing is like, why are the news also negative, or people are always complaining? Yeah, I think that's, yeah, me as a German, I can relate to that. As a German, I sometimes think the same. Why are we always complaining about it? And the funny thing is, in the last couple of months, I noticed that I am also complaining, but about other people complaining. So I don't like to have this German mindset of complaining every time, and I like to be more positive. And then I just hear myself saying, oh, all those people complaining every time. And then it's like still complaining. That's one thing I noticed as a German. And we even have like words or sayings that like words like implicit to have a negative thing. We always say like, oh, it's not too bad. It's nothing to complain. That's what we say in German. And I always think, wow, we wanted to complain, but then we say, oh no, there's nothing to complain. And that's really weird we have in German. It's just a cultural thing. I don't like it. I'd like to change it at some point, but it's really, really hard to get this out of the heads of the people.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Plus 49. We've covered a lot, from the fast-moving coalition talks and migration policies to the ongoing strikes shaking up daily life here in Germany. Plus, we got an inside look at German driving culture and had a great conversation with DJ Tofee and his friend Ollie. As always, thank you for tuning in, and thank you, Marlene, for making this possible. Don't forget to join us next time for more news, stories, and conversations that matter to the international community in Germany. I am Sigrid Arteaga, wishing you a wonderful day. Stay safe, stay informed, and until next episode, hasta la próxima.